Welcome to the maiden edition of the Awcon series, brought to you by West African Weekly Sports Digest. Today we are at the Accra Sports Stadium, one of the facilities that has been selected to host the 2018 Women African Cup of Nations, which is scheduled to come off on November 7th. This facility has been under renovation for the past 4 months, and this is the first time in 10 years that the edifice is seeing a facelift. So we will take a tour through the facility to see how the place is ready to host the tournament, because there have been a lot of talks as to Ghana not ready to host the event because the facilities that have been earmarked for the tournament are not ready or up to standard to host the tournament. Follow us, let's tour the facility and see how the Accra Sports Stadium, which is located in the nation's capital, is ready to host the Women African Cup of Nations. My name is Betty Yosin, your host, and I will be supported by Aisha Ali Zakaria. Welcome, Aisha.
Thank you.
Well, we are going to take a tour at the facility, and just stay tuned and just follow us as we tour the Accra Sports Stadium to see how ready the stadium is to host this year's African Cup of Nations. That's the Women African Cup of Nations. Well, now we are in the office of the structural engineer for the renovation of the Accra Sports Stadium, Mr. Bediako. So he will be touring the facility with us to tell us the work that they have done so far while we prepare to host the 2018 Women African Cup of Nations. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Well, so we have come to your outfit today for you to take us on a tour as to the kind of work that you've done so far. You know, there have been a lot of talks as we are not ready because the stadium is not ready and all that. But I know you are the best person to assure Ghanaians if really we are ready to host the 2018 Women African Cup of Nations in terms of facilities, how ready the Accra Sports Stadium is. So, sir, we call on you to take us on a tour today.
Okay, like I've already said, you are welcome again. And I can assure you we are ready for the Awcon.
Okay, so Mr. Bediako, well, before we had to embark on the tour, we had to put on
the helmet.
Yeah, the helmets because of security reasons. And I know, yes, on construction sites. I know for the past 4 months, this facility has been under renovation for the past 4 months because we are all preparing for the Women African Cup of Nations. Well, tell me, what have you done so far? What are some of the works that you've done so far, and what is expected to be done for the stadium to be completed ahead of November 11th?
So far, as for the structural work, we are almost done, and other things that are that we are to do include the floodlights, which we see one part is already set. If you compare this one as against that, you see that all this one here we have not touched. We are now on the other side. As we move on, you will see it yourself. So right now, the VIP, the structural work is over. The scoreboard is also almost done. Now we are left with one more level, and then it will be over. So we can just move for you to see things for yourself. Okay,
so this is the VIP section, right? Yeah. You were roofing. The last time I came here, I think there was some roofing ongoing. Are we done with the roofing?
That one is done. You can see that every part is covered.
All right, so that is Mr. Bediako. He is a structural engineer for the renovation of the Accra Sports Stadium. You all know that we are preparing to host the 2018 Women African Cup of Nations. And today on the Awcon series, we began with the Accra Sports Stadium, one of the facilities that have been selected to host the 2018 Women African Cup of Nations.
And then this is the orange stand. And you see the blasting work also going on. Then from here, we move on to the scoreboard. Okay,
so the metals that we see on the ground, is it that they are sports metals?
No. These are scaffold. That is going to be arranged for people to stand on to do their work. This is an example of the scaffold.
Well, Mr. Bediako, you are a structural engineer. I know this is the first time the stadium is having a major facelift since it was first renovated in 2007. Now, how disastrous was the stadium before you embarked on this project?
After the construction, like we're supposed to painting, especially the steelworks. But that wasn't done. And then, this is also close to the sea. So the more you leave it, the more rust it becomes. So that called for the renovation. On top of that one, the roof too, it was leaking badly, which we needed to work on it. So before, that was the condition, so bad. And the areas that we have not touched, you can see yourself.
But before you continue the tour, when are you exactly handing over the edifice to the sports minister?
Ending, we are giving it to you. And we are 100% sure. I've repeated this several times.
So October ending will be 5 months that you started working on this facility. Is it a normal duration for renovating a place like this?
Depends. Initially it was not given to us fully. It was part, and as you know, the pressure comes before maybe here too, you should work on this, you should work on that. That is how it's going on. It didn't come straight away. Initially, VIP, orange stand, scoreboard. And then at a point, we had to add green stand, now blue stand as well. Then at a point, the floodlights should also come in.
So meaning the work kept on increasing and increasing and increasing.
That is it.
So then I believe that you could have finished earlier if it wasn't for some of the extra works
that is the issue. But still, we can handle it because what is left is not much.
All right, so then let's continue with our tour. Okay, but Mr. Bediakun, let me find this from you. You initially said that because of the sea, the salty nature of the sea, it made this thing very rusty. Now, what do we need to do so that we don't get that nature that we got, that rusty nature that became very disastrous, that the stadium was termed as a death trap?
And now you see the blasting, the kind of chemical that we're using for the protection, that we call the anti-rust, is zinc. And it has 96% zinc. So that one, it will be able to deal with the rust 100%.
For how many years?
Oh, for this one, we are thinking of over 15 years, 15 to 20 years. By then, we're saying that after this, maybe we sit down with them, then if every 3 or 4 years, then the stadium is painted. If that is done, there won't be any serious renovation to be done.
So every 3 or 4 years, yes, the stadium needs to be painted, sure, so that we wouldn't
always have the one that we want. We will not sit down until we get to the bar seat before we come back and then be rushing to get it renovated.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bediak. They have to award you guys for your hard work.
If only you do that. So this is the scoreboard also. This is a level. This is last but one level. So hopefully by today is Monday. Maybe a week today, this one will be over. Then we'll put in the last one on it.
Okay, Mr. Bediako, I think I can see some difference. The first one was metallic.
Yes, it has been removed already.
And now we are seeing a concrete version. Yes. Why that idea?
Like I said, that one was so weak. We needed to take it off and to put up new one. We looked at the time. So this one was, in fact, better to construct. That was why we
You mean the durability?
Oh, as for that one, depends on how you treat it. Even the concrete that we put up, if we do not treat it well, the same thing will happen. It doesn't matter that because the other one was steel and this is concrete. No concrete with this, and with time it will eat into it, and you see that it will peeling off. So after this, we will cover it with alucobol, so that it will be well protected.
Well, if you're watching, this is the maiden edition of the Awcon series, and it's brought to you by West Africa Weekly Sports Digest. We are touring the Accra Sports Stadium to find out how the stadium is ready to host the 2018 Women African Cup of Nations. As I told you earlier, that this facility has been under renovation for the past 4 months, and according to the structural engineer, that's Mr. Bediako, he has assured us that by next month ending, that's October ending, the stadium should be ready for the Women African Cup of Nations, which is scheduled to come off on November 11th. Okay, so now we are the orange stands. Yes. And yeah, okay, Mr. Bediako, I know there have been a lot of works here. With the seats, are we going to see any works done on the seats where the supporters will be sitting?
Why
on
not?
To watch the game?
Just look at the other side. You see that other side has been prepared. The same thing is going to happen here. This one is not done because of the blast. So what we're doing is that, you know, we're getting tarpaulin to cover it before the blast is finished. So maybe in the next 1 week or so, you'll come and see a change from this side also. That is the orange stand.
So it only needs cleaning. Are we going to see any painting done?
Yes, we're going to spray them. And then the ones which are not good, we take them off and replace.
I can see that there have been some that have been ripped off here.
Those ones which are not good, we'll take all of them off and then we'll spray and then replace the bad ones.
Well, this is a tour into the Accra Sports Stadium where the facility is undergoing renovation for the hosting of the Women African Cup of Nations. Are we ready? Is Ghana ready to host the Women African Cup of Nations? I know your guess is as good as mine because you can see that there are a lot of works ongoing here. The constructors are trying their best to get the facility ready. This facility is actually situated in the nation's capital, that's Accra, which is the nation's capital, Ghana's capital. And so this is one of the facility, the major facility for the tournament. We are still touring with Mr. Bediako, who is the structural engineer for the renovation of the Accra Sports Stadium. We will go into the inner perimeter to also check how the pitch, that's the turf that the ball will be played on, is also ready. If the pitch is ready to host the tournament, we will also be going there to check out with that. Well, this brings us to the end of our tour of the Accra Sports Stadium. And Mr. Bediako, we are very much grateful for leading us on this tour. Now you have taken us through the works that you've done so far and how you are trying to finish up by October ending for us to be able to host the Women African Cup of Nations. We are so grateful for taking time out of your busy schedule to bring us to this tour.
Thank you. And once a while you can come and then have a look what is going on. So you are welcome.
Thank you very much. And that's Mr. Bediako. He is the structural engineer for the renovation of the Accra Sports Stadium. I have my colleague here, Aisha Ali Zachary. Aisha, we were on this tour together, touring the Accra Sports Stadium. What's your opinion looking at the work that have been done so far?
So far so good. Initially I was a bit scared, should I say that, because I don't think we will be able to host the tournament. But then this is my third coming here, so I think they have done well. They have done a lot of renovation, because looking at the VIP stand, it has been renovated. The media stand, something is going on there, and then some of the seats has been painted. You can also notice that they removed the bad ones so that they replace them with the new ones. So I would say so far so good. They stand to, I mean, with a good idea to the scoreboard, the fact that they remove the metal and then bring in the concrete one, I think that's good because Ghanaians, we have a problem with maintenance. So if they are able to bring in concrete, because the metal, I think if we don't take care of it, it can rust. With the concrete, I mean, it's there already. So far, so good. Hopefully, by the end of this month, September, we should get a better news that everything is intact.
Well, lastly, Mr. Bediakon assured us that by October ending, the stadium should be ready to host the Women African Cup of Nations. Looking at the work that have been done so far, we were on this tour together and you have also observed what they are doing. Do you think that we will be able to meet the deadline?
I think we can because guys are working. We came here, I mean, everybody is busy. More than, if I'm not mistaken, more than 70 workers are working day in, day out to make sure that we host the tournament. So I want to trust and believe and support him that by the deadline we should be able to finish everything, because it will be painful for CAF to take the tournament from us because of the fact that we were not ready in terms of the stadium needs. So I believe that they can deliver as promised, because so far so good. The major works has been done already. So.
And you know, CAF will also be taking the final decision next month to decide if Ghana is really going to host the tournament. Do you have mixed feelings that probably we can be stripped of?
Yes, because it will depend on the last visitation, and then it will also depend on us, on our readiness. Not just the Accra Sports Stadium, but then other things. Good for us. I mean, they said they are going to launch the team for the tournament and all those things that will matter. So I'm just thinking that if we do our stuff right, then we shouldn't be scared about the fact that CAF might decide to take the tournament from us, because if we told them we'll use Accra Sports Stadium and then Cape Coast. So let's get things done. What we promised, let's deliver upon what we promised, and then nobody will have any reason to take the thing from us.
That's my colleague Aisha Ali Zakari. She's actually my co-host. Today we toured the Accra Sports Stadium, one of the venues that have been earmarked for the hosting of the Women African Cup of Nations. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring you much on the pitch because the man in charge is not around. But we will come your way next time with more information as to whether the pitch is also ready for the event or the tournament, which comes off November 11th. My name is Betty Austin, your host for the Awcon series that is brought to you by West African Weekly Sports Digest. We will come your way with more updates on the tournament as we prepare for the Women African Cup of Nations.